What is up, everyone? This is Hunter Bick, making my third video for StocksPoker.com. Playing 2-4, no limit at full tilt again today. Found some decent tables. I've not been able to find too much going on here today. I looked at 5-10 and 3-6 and couldn't find anything worth playing, so decided to fire up some 2-4. Okay, so let's see what we got going. I have just sat down. I played the big blind here and just folded, and I just posted the big blind on this table. So I don't know much about these guys. I've been mining these games lately, so we do have a few numbers. Need to turn on my 4-color. There we go. Okay, nice. Got a good hand right off the bat. Let's pop it up. Yeah, just looking at our numbers here, you know, this is a decent table, especially for full tilt. Sean Aces is playing a solid 52-2 game, which is always nice to see. And I'm hoping this guy over here, DT1688, sits in. Okay, I don't have any reason to think that I'm behind here. I'm going to bet if he shoves, I'm going to call. And if he has Jack-10, then that's just fine. But Jack-10 is really the only hand that I could see him having that beats me. Okay, that's unfortunate. So decent little start here. Okay, let's see. I did want to mention that I'm going to be making videos for Stocks Poker pretty much on a weekly basis going forward. I'm going to be doing 3 to 4 a month, which I'm really excited about. And you know, my last couple of videos got great feedback. Everyone seemed to like them, so I'm going to be sticking around, which I'm pumped about. I've really been enjoying making them, and you know, it's a lot of fun helping other guys get better. So hopefully my videos will continue. Everyone will continue to like my videos. The one thing I want to talk a little bit about kind of what I had in mind for them. My number one goal. My number one goal is when someone in Stocks Poker watches one of my videos, I want them to feel like they spent their time well. You know, I've watched plenty of videos where at the end of it, you know, I was like, that was okay. You know, maybe I learned a thing or two, but in general, I wish I had that hour of my life back. And I don't really want anyone to come away from any of my videos feeling like that. So I'm going to do my best to keep the quality as high as possible. And you know, one thing I've done in the past, I've watched my videos, you know, at least once, even a couple, maybe even 2 or 3 times, to make sure that I'm happy with them before I have them posted. So I'm definitely going to continue doing that. And you know, if it's a video that didn't get much action, or I thought the commentary wasn't very good, I'm not going to be putting it up. So you know, I'm going to try to maintain a I'm going to call this guy once. I'm going to try to maintain a decent standard that I'm happy with, and hopefully everyone else will be too. I mean, clearly, I mean the membership fee at Stocks Poker is such a deal for the amount of amazing information you can get on the site that you know, everyone's getting their money's worth in my opinion. But I want to make sure you get your time worth, because time is certainly more valuable than, you know, your 20 a month or whatever it is. So I'm going to call this guy one more time. You know, okay, we chop it. I'm going to fire at this as well. I did raise pre-flop. But as I was saying, you know, I want to make sure everyone feels like they spent their time well and that they learned something from my videos. So that's super important to me, and I'm going to do the best I can to keep the quality high. And, you know, you know, in the past I've relied a lot on, you know, the feedback I've gotten. So if there's something specific you want me to talk about, or if there's something that you didn't like that I talked about, you know, I read all the stuff that you guys post. So definitely keep it coming, and let me know what you like, what you don't like, and I'll tailor the videos to that. You know, I mean, I want to make sure that you know, everyone's happy with them. So, and that also goes for the stakes that I play. If you know, if you want to see, I mean, I'll play pretty much any game I'm comfortable playing that people would want to see. If you want to see another 5-10 video, let me know. If you want to see some 1-2 videos, let me know. I'm definitely gonna make some 1-2 videos because there are a lot of guys on the site who play those games, so I want to help them out as much as possible as well. So just let me know what you want to see, and I'm making a lot of videos, so I'll be able to get to everything. I decided to keep it at 2 tables. Everyone seemed to like that, so again, I'm gonna try to have something, kind of something. I'm gonna always try to have some sort of like side topic to talk about also, like when there's no action, but I'm gonna do my best to make that interesting as well. But anyway, that's my little introduction. So let's see what we got going on here. Okay, childish games. I haven't played with any of these. I've been playing a lot more Full Tilt lately, actually. Mainly because I've been finding good tables when I make videos, so I've found myself coming back here. Standard raise, and I've seen some good things. I sat down like Christmas Eve, and I just found this huge fish at a 5-10 game. I took like 4K off of him in like half an hour. Like, I didn't know people like that existed at Full Tilt, so it's been nice. This is a very standard continuation bet. I will probably play this for stacks depending on what this guy does, but he seems pretty loose and aggressive. We don't have a ton of hands on him, but this is very loose. His stats are very loose and aggressive. He could have a weaker jack, he could have a flush draw. The question I have here is whether or not I want to 3-bet him, or if I want to call, see the turn, and then put the money in. Both options are viable. I think I'm going to call and let him bluff and let him fire again. Okay, that's a good card, unless he has 9-10. But when you take this line, you can't get scared too easily. So, and yes, this is a draw board, and yes, I'm taking a risk by not playing the hand faster. But in my opinion, he's so aggressive that he's so aggressive. Like, that's his turn aggression. He's so aggressive that I think it's I think it's more likely I'll get more action from him if I let him try to fire the turn than if I shove or 3-bet him there. So, yeah, there are a lot of scare cards, especially on a board like this, but I just think it's a higher EV line to call and then play the turn. Especially, a lot of that is because this is a button versus small blind situation. Okay, he folded. I had to bet big on that turn. I mean, the board was definitely getting scary, and I wanted him to. Okay. But when you take a higher EV line, sometimes it'll get drawn out a lot more. But all that really matters is the long run. So you always got to keep that in mind. Okay, another ace jack. Let's fire that up. It's 2 baller. I love when someone self-proclaims himself a baller. By the way, it's always amusing. The baller at 2-4. Give me a break. Okay, he folds. We don't have a lot of hands on the guy, but this is his cold call pre-flop 3.49, which is high. He's gonna be that means he's calling pre-flop with a lot of garbage. So that also means we can put some pressure on him, and he'll probably have to let go. So, a lot of the time anyway. He'll be making a lot of middle pair hands. He'll be making bottom pair hands, kind of weakish draws. So that's always something to keep in mind. Yeah, my PA HUD numbers have been moved around a little bit. My Full Tilt was just a total disaster. It wouldn't work with PA HUD. The whole thing would slow down and crash. And I have a fast computer, and I have no idea what the problem was with it. So I could barely play on Full Tilt before. It was like super choppy. So finally I just got fed up with it and reformatted my hard drive, and now it works fine. So I have no idea why. But if you're wondering, if you've seen my last couple of videos and wondering why my numbers might be in different spots, that's why. For anyone who's not seen one of my videos in the past, real fast, I'll just explain what my stats are. Top one is VP. Second one's pre-flop raise, total aggression. These numbers, Milcom's aggression by street. And then this last column is went to showdown. Or, I'm sorry, cold call pre-flop. Okay, they're switched on this guy. Sorry, I gotta fix that. Usually the second number is cold call pre-flop. Top one is went to showdown. So went to showdown. Look at this guy, Stu Baller. Went to showdown. Cold call pre-flop, total hands. So when I'm done with the video, I'm going to switch that around because that's wrong. Okay. I don't mind opening 6-8 off on the button, even though this guy's kind of laggy up here. We're trying to set up a little bit of an image and make sure that people think we're raising too much on the button, so that way we can get action when we have a good hand. Plus, obviously we're in the best position, and that's just a very profitable place to be. So you want to play many more hands on the button than you do anywhere else on the table. I know that's pretty basic stuff, but you really cannot stress that enough. I mean, position is absolutely everything. So let's talking a lot about blind play, and this is still a area I'm still working on, specifically my small blind play. I feel like I got my big in the blind battle spot. I feel like my big blind play has really gotten a lot better in the last few months. My small blind play, it's not bad. I mean, I've been tightening up a lot. I'm generally raising or folding. I'm not just calling, but I've been tightening up a little bit just because it's such a terrible spot to be in. But okay, aces for the second time this video. That's awesome. Okay, this is nice. We're gonna raise our queen 8. Pot is 30. He'll have to call 22. Let's make it a little bit better. Take away some of his implied odds. Let's make it 35. I like to raise a little bit more out of position. It's okay. He insta folded. It's a shame. This guy donks into me. He's tight. He's pretty much of a raiser. I'm just gonna fold. I mean, I don't know this guy that well. A lot of times I'd raise him here. But I don't really have any outs. My queen's a questionable out. I'm not going to know if it's good, if it hits, like what the queen of spades hits. I'm just going to fold. There's just no reason to really, not this early in the game anyway. Again, I'm just going to fold right here. Yeah, I may have had the best hand, possibly, against this guy, but Jack 10 does not flop. Jack 10 offsuit especially does not flop well out of position, and it's going to be very difficult to continue against an aggressive guy like that out of position. So again, just folding, there's nothing wrong with that. And if he keeps doing that, we'll start 4-betting him, and we'll take it from there. But let's just see what happens first. Nice, sweet flop. Let's make our standard continuation bet. Hopefully this guy does something like check raise. Nope. Okay, queen's not a bad card. No reason not to keep firing. So we're pretty deep. So we want to bet pretty close to the pot here. If the X were like 100 BBs, I would bet smaller, just to set up an easier river. Just to set up. Is the site gonna bet? There we go. He insta calls. Okay. He's called so fast. I wonder if. Let's bet the biggest I think he'll call. Something pretty. Okay. 225 will be good. We'll probably ought to be all right. If he has hearts, he's going to insta fold. I don't know if he's going to call with an 8. He'll definitely call with he'll probably shove with a weaker 10. Although he doesn't have another 10, or he would have played the hand differently. Okay. I'm not sure what he. I could have bet a little smaller there, but I think that's fine. I'm not too sure what he had, and you got to make your value bets look like your bluffs, and I'm not going to bluff $100 into that pot ever. So I want it to at least be possible that I'm bluffing. So, but there are different. You can make an argument for betting smaller. You can make an argument for betting bigger. There are a lot of different ways to do it. And this is another thing I wanted to mention. So many times I read hands on the forums, or I read discussions about other people's videos, and so often there's like a heated discussion about about the best way to play the hand, and the thing is, there's very rarely a very specific best way to play the hand. In No Limit, there are usually there are a couple good options, and you can make a very good argument to play a hand two totally different ways, and it doesn't mean one's right and one's wrong. It's just there are different ways to do it, and that's something that's really important to keep in mind. It's not one might be slightly better or slightly worse, but there's always there's usually a very good second option, and if you think about all your options, you're rarely going to find one that's just a huge, a huge like favorite or better option, whatever you want to call it. So that's really something to keep in mind. That's also why I encourage anyone who thinks I screwed a hand up to post about it, and we can talk about the different options. Or, God, I'm running well finally. We can talk about the different options, or whatever. But very rarely it's very rarely just one thing or nothing else. So that's something to keep in mind. Okay, let's see what the turn does. This guy doesn't have much money left. It's a good card on a bad board. This board sucks. I mean, this is a tough board to play. I'm not concerned about this guy. He doesn't have much left. This guy, only 41 hands. I'm gonna bet for protection and for value. Only a couple hands I'm really worried about here, so that's fine. So, okay. Sean Aces is limping. Wish he'd fill his stack up. That'd be nice. Okay, yeah, but going back to what I was just talking about, I think the videos that Kyle and Nick made together really illustrated that point. And this is something I really first started thinking about. I don't know, maybe a year ago. There was some big drama post on 2+2 where someone had staked someone else, and it didn't go well. And the guy thought that the staker thought the guy who was playing, in the 40K game on full tilt, thought he screwed up a bunch of times. And the guy was like, look, there are several ways to play this. I chose to do one thing and it didn't work out. That's poker. And I hadn't really thought about that a whole lot at the time, but it's absolutely true. Like, so often you can make such a good argument for two totally different actions, and you always got to keep that in mind. Okay, I'm gonna call this guy. The only thing I know about him is that he's an Iron Man player, which means he's probably decent. So I don't have great odds on his stack just because he's a little short, but calling accomplishes a couple things for me. First, I have position. If I think the board whiffed him, which this very well may have, I can make a play at it. Or I can also send him the message, I'm not going to be backing down to 3 bets all that often. So it accomplishes a couple different things. Now here I have a couple options. I can float him, see what he does in the turn. He bets small, or I could raise him right now. And then I have to fold to a shove if I have to fold to a shove. So, but I'm going to do that because the problem is he's going to have almost perfect odds. His turn bet will be a little bit of an overshove, and it might be a very great spot for him to just shove ace king, thinking I might fold. And I'd rather try to move him off the hand right now than A, give him a chance to catch on the turn, and B, allow him to make such a great bluff that I'm not really going to be able to call. So again, a couple different options there. I can make an argument for both, but I really like a raise there. For one, the biggest factor in that hand was he bet 64 into a 103 pot. That does not communicate to me that he is really strong, and that's the kind of continuation bet, especially in a 3-bet pot, that I'm going to go after. If I fold there, like that's, if you have a read on the guy, fold, fine, whatever. But even readless, like, that's just such a weak bet, like, And maybe he balances his play really well, and he'll make that bet with aces and shove in after I three bet, or after I raise him. I don't know, but that was basically one of those in a vacuum hands, and I just thought it looked weak, and you know, fortunately it worked out. Okay, this guy, I'm getting better than 2-1. What looks like a flush draw situation. I'm just gonna call. It's okay. It's arguable. It's questionable. Whatever. He's a short stack. I'll just assume get rid of him. A lot of times I'll see a worse 9 air. I've seen so much garbage from that spot. It's usually not top pair actually from a short stack, but that's fine. And plus, long run, that really does not play a big factor in your win rate. Okay. Let's see here. Ace hole is raising. We can just fold this. Not a hand I'm looking to play against an under the gun raiser out of position. This is another one. Actually, unless I'll certainly complete. I'm not going to be calling a raise. Okay, 7 deuce. It's kind of an interesting flop. Let's just fire at it. Okay, this I find amusing. For one, this is a good sign. Like, this guy might be frustrated with that last hand, which is hopefully the case. For him to just check behind, not even raise his big blind. For one, I don't like. I think you should be raising like a lot of your range. I actually just went against what I said I was going to do. I was busy talking about something else. I should have either raised or folded, by the way. So I don't like the way I played this hand, but for him to just instantly raise this, he thinks I missed. I'm not going to try to show this down, by the way. I mean, this is just a marginal spot. It's going to be a big pot. I'm out of position. It's not something I'm looking to get involved in. But we got some nice information in that this guy probably is getting frustrated with us, and that is always something to keep in mind. And we're going to try to keep that up by raising small blind. Okay, this guy limped the button. I flopped top pair, no kicker. I'm just going to check. This is, it's going to be tough to get value out of this. Let's see what he had. He had nothing on the flop that he called me with. So these are my stats up here, by the way, in the top corner. So right now I'm playing a 31-20 on this table and a 34-34 over here. I need to get the number of hands up here as well. Okay, we've raised the last 2 hands. I'm not going to raise 6-5 from there. It looks like DT16 is a little tighter than I thought he was. Okay, very nice. Okay, that's a great flop. That's a really great flop for aces. And there's really nothing I'm afraid of, unless someone has a 3, fine, but, just not too concerned about it. So we're just going to keep firing for value. Okay, now this is a spot. This is a really great spot to slow play. He has just made an enormous check raise. Like, look at the size of that. I guess it was full pot. Okay, I'm trying to think of what the best line here is. I seriously doubt I'm behind. He's super aggressive. Look at his stats. This is a great spot to slow play. So let's do that. And we snap call. Okay. Okay, I'm going to raise ace jack here. These limpers, this is just you can't just let these guys limp in, especially the hand as good as ace jack. Even out of position, you gotta fire that up and make them pay to play. It's nice to be running well on full tilt. But 3 days after Christmas, I played and I got absolutely destroyed in 5-10. I think I lost 6 straight all-ins, most of which I was a favorite in. It was disgusting. So finally, I'm winning a little bit back. But okay, this is a hand. I like Queen 10. I like Queen 10 suited a lot more, but this is a hand I'm always going to play, especially first in. I mean, no brainer. So let's see here. Okay, decent flop. I'm going to bet for value, and I will call a push if he pushes. Yeah, it's always really important to, I see a lot of hands posted where guys will make a specific play on like the flop or the turn, but they don't have a plan for whether or not they want to call a push, what they're going to do on the river if the guy calls. Like you want to think about all that stuff ahead of time, and you always want to have a plan for the rest of the hand. It's contingent upon your opponent's actions, and that's really important. Notice in all of my hands, at least in this video, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to explain my plan before I have to execute it, because I want to jump in and say that for one, you can there are spots where you're not going to be able to have a plan. Like the rest of your plan is going to be dependent upon what the other guy does on his next action. But in general, like you want to have a good plan going into it. So, unlike that, right here where I said I was going to call a push if he makes it, So you always want to think about that stuff. You want to think about the board and whatnot. I mean, I've definitely played hands where, I've called to the river and then folded on the river just because, I had like a medium strength hand and I didn't really, I needed to see whether or not the guy fired the third bullet to decide whether or not I was going to show the hand down. But there are definitely, very marginal, tough spots like that. But in general, you really want to have a good understanding of what you want to do and what you want to accomplish in the hand. So it's always a good thing to think about. Okay. Gotta love the min bet into the $26 pot. I wonder what this guy has that he just called with. 10-9 and King 10. Okay, so this guy min bets his marginal hands. That's great. And this guy, just King 10 on that board actually was a pretty decent hand. I mean, I guess on the turn it was. The river is a little more it's not even that bad. The flush got there, but I think I've talked about before, when I see a min bet like that, I'm generally raising because it's generally just a very weak hand, and it certainly was in this case. So I just do not let guys get away with that. Okay. Queen. It's an easy jump, easy raise. Oh, come on. That sucks. Okay. 10-10 in the blinds, I do different things depending on the opponent. 10-10, you can certainly make a case for 3-betting it. It's a very solid hand. You can also make a case for smooth calling. Depending on the strength of the opponent, is what determines what I'm going to do, and the stack size. This is kind of interesting. I don't think this guy's that good. I don't have a lot of hands on him, which is really too bad, but he's not raising much, as we see from his PFR. But we only have 40 hands, so it probably doesn't mean much. But in general, I'm not getting the impression this guy's a very good poker player, based on the hand we just saw where he min bet 3 streets. So because I don't think he's a very good player, I certainly feel like I can play my hand well out of position. I mean, 10-10's a solid hand. If he was really good, I would be much more inclined to call and see a flop and go from there. But okay, not a good flop. He insta called, which means he's got something. This hand hits his raising range pretty hard. I'm just going to check and probably just have to fold. But he checks behind. That's interesting. Question here is if he folds a jack. If he folds a jack to my bet. Let's just fire. Okay. He could have had ace king. I mean, he could have had a lot of other stuff. He could have had king jack and thought no way he was good. Either way, I would have folded his flop bet just because when he calls a 3-bet so fast without even thinking about it, like, he's got something. I mean, he's not doing that with. He's not insta calling with 7-9. I mean, so, you know, on a board like that, I'm going to check and give up. But when he checks behind, then there's no, you know, I got to think that I can either A, have the best hand, or B, I can take it down with a bet. And either way, you know, I'm perfectly happy to take that down right there. It's a 3-bet pot. I'm going to just float this guy. This is a hand I'll sometimes just smooth call with on the button. Basically because if you flop a big draw in position, that's always a great situation. And B, it's always great when you can just move the guy off his hand. Like, this is another spot. He bets half pot. I seriously don't. I have a hard time believing he's really hit this board. Yes, his PFR is very low. But I like. This just looks like a great spot for a bluff raise. If one of these guys has a 9, I'm going to find out about it pretty quickly. And again, this is debatable. This is a fairly thin bluff raise, and you can make a strong case for folding here. But his bet looks weak. You know, his raising range, from what we know about him, is tight, which means it's very weighted toward big cards, which that board missed. So a lot of the time he just misses there. So that a hand like that is exactly why I'll smooth call. I'll smooth call the button with a very, very wide range of cards. And ace 6 is actually a better hand I would do it with. I could do that with 6 deuce and make the same exact play. I mean, my cards didn't matter there. All that mattered is what I know of him and the fact that board misses his range for the most part. And that's, a lot of times that's all you need, just raise him and take it down. I mean, it's a very profitable play. And he, on top of that, remember he showed weakness too. It's not like he fired pot into 4 people. He made this kind of real timid half pot bet that didn't really convince me. Okay, this guy he check called the flop, and he has now donked into us. He did check call. I'm gonna call here. Oh, I gotta change the chat options. Well, I'm definitely calling. Remember how he bet min with the issue. The only reason I'm not gonna raise him here is because I'm not convinced he's gonna call with a worse hand. So that makes raising pointless. So I just want to show the hand down. Okay, he had ace queen. But remember, he made his little tiny bets, out of position with third pair or whatever it was. So, I have no problem calling down there. His line was really bad, by the way. Check call, donk. What is that? Especially with his bet sizes. He's not getting much value. I need to change my chat options real fast. How do I do that? Oh, everything. There we go. Okay. Okay, this is an easy check fold. There's, self-explanatory. Same deal here. Okay, we know enough about this guy. We can make some notes. Plays top pair, top kicker. Somewhat passively. Did not 3-bet ace queen pre. min donks, you know, weak pairs post flop. We can just fold this. Let the guy have the $4. You know, I'm not gonna get involved with Jack 5 out of position. So, okay, King 9 will be an easy raise on the button. Okay. So Stu Baller just played. That was interesting. Let's look at that hand again. That was very interesting. This guy, I love this hand. I'm gonna raise it. I love the suited one more, but so Stu Baller. Okay, check and called the flop with overcards. Then it went check check, and then he fired at the river. Okay, so that's good to know. Let's just fold there. We've been so active that we're gonna fold right here too. We've been so active that that's just not a hand I want to get involved in from under the gun. Because ace hole comes along. I don't know. It's just very marginal spot. I think I'm going to make my next video at 1-2. Unless I hear otherwise. But last one was 5-10 and 3-6. The one before that was 2-4. So I want to get some 1-2 videos in there. Okay, this guy just played a huge pot with that hand. Top pair, weak top pair hand. Okay, let's see if we can't catch some cards and take this guy down. Queen 7 suited. Queen 7 suited. Jesus. Okay, well, that is fantastic. Nothing to do here but check and call. I mean, the great thing, well, he doesn't have a lot of money, and he's very aggressive, so I don't see a reason why we can't just, why don't we go check, check, check here, just depending. Let's fire at this. I wonder if we can, yeah, let's go check, check, check. I don't have a problem with that. Make it look like we're trying to show down ace high or something. Oh, okay. Again, very marginal. I'm sorry, very debatable. He had deuces, so there's no way he was gonna call. He was gonna call a raise of mine, or a bet of mine. But what matters there is how it hit his range, and long run, do I make money with a bet there? He limped in pre-flop. He didn't raise. You know, it's hard for us to put him on an overpair that makes a boat. You know, and the best we could do if he has something like deuces is try to sell a bluff. If he had, what was the top card? Okay, if he had a 9, he's betting that river, and we would have gotten it in. If he wanted to bluff at it, you know, we're getting the money in. So I think being out of position there, I like checking all 3 streets, and I'll do that. I do that quite a bit. I'll do that with sets. I'll do it with decent pair hands, just because, like, and this is what sucks about being out of position is you're forced to get action when you start raising and betting. You're forcing them to have a hand, and in order to get action, and that's and you know, that's a bummer. You can't, you know, the only way you're going to get money if they don't have a hand but you do is if you let them keep bluffing. So a lot of times that's just definitely the best play out of position. But again, just very situational, very opponent dependent, but definitely something to think about. Definitely something to think about. Okay, let's just we'll call here. I don't like folding decent speculative hands to min raises. This guy limps in. Let's bump it up. Okay, he's doing his little min bet again. Let's raise, see what he does. His min bet in the past was not strength. His medium size, kind of 1/3ish bet, that's what he made with his ace queen hand when he on the top pair top kicker. But his min bet before, no good. So this guy keeps limping, I'm going to keep raising because I just want to make things very uncomfortable for him. Now, if I were now, depending on how long this goes on, this can be an interesting spot for a guy like Ace Hole. Okay, this is a great board for it's a great board for me to fire on. If he's limping, he might be limping a weak ace and calling under the gun, but more often than not, he's got something else, and he can't continue with that ace out there after I've raised. So this is just a great spot to bluff. So we take it down. But as I was saying, like, I've been in a lot of spots both, next to this guy's not a huge fish. Let's say this guy was like a 60-10 or something, a guy who always limped in, and I'm on his left, and I keep raising him to try to isolate. And so if Ace Hole's paying attention and he's not playing 100 tables and he's good enough to see what's going on, I'm always isolating, he can start coming over the top of my raises to just take down my weak raise if he knows I'm isolating this guy. Here I have to fold. There's just nothing I can do. I don't think he's got much. I'm not impressed with his little min raise, but I don't have anything. I can't continue here. I'm not going to try to. This guy has shown that he will go to the felt with marginal hands, and this is not the kind of guy you want to make a big bluff on. So we're just going to fold. But I had an interesting session one time where there was a huge fish on my right. I kept raising to isolate. The guy on my left was a really great player, and he floated every single one of my raises just because he knew that I was isolating. I was trying to isolate the fish, and that more often than not I didn't have much of a hand. And he would just call my 3-bet every single call my 3-bet if it was a 3-bet, or my raise if it was a raise, and he did it like every single time, and it was the most frustrating thing to play against. And he was super aggressive after the flop, and unless I was hitting, which I wasn't at the time, there was just nothing I could do about it. And it was just super. I didn't even get any like semi bluff opportunities where I could have shoved him in, but he was just very, very aware of what was going on, and he knew exactly not only how to take advantage of the fish, but just punish me in the process because I was trying to take advantage of the fish. And that was a frustrating session to play because I hate leaving a table, especially when I'm on some guy's right and the guy's just donating money. But this guy on my left was just making things so tough that, and I don't think I quit till the fish did, but maybe I did. I don't remember how the session ended, but I learned a lot from that, and that's something that's kind of stuck with me because in a game is where you have no limit, you have so many options. This isn't pot limit where there's only so much you can do, but you have so many options and no limit that like you can just, if you get creative and you're aware of the table dynamic, you can just really, really make things tough for people. And I showed down like 2 hands against this guy. One of them he had like 7-3. Like he was calling my 3-bets, which is absolute garbage. And he was taking down so many pots just because he knew I wasn't hitting. He knew on average I didn't have much of a hand, and he just destroyed me. But obviously a great session because I learned a lot, and that's something that I'm always looking for opportunities to do now to other people. So even when you have a really tough session, still got to watch with I don't know if he's a better player. He's certainly a good player, that's for sure. He was a real creative European guy, and it's always something you can be learning from watching even your opponents at the same table. So and that goes kind of another thing. Like, I have absolutely no ego about my poker game. I mean, my numbers show that I win money. I'm able to do it professionally. Obviously I can play poker, but like, there are so many guys. I mean, there's just so many guys out there who play amazing poker, and if you're not trying to learn something from all of them, then you're doing yourself a disservice. And having an ego is just going to get in the way of learning. I mean, if someone tells me my hand sucks, I want to hear why. I want to hear all about it. What would they do differently? What would be a better option? Having a big ego about your poker game is just going to get in the way of your development. So, when even a lesser player than me tells me that he doesn't like my line. You know, I want to know why. I mean, it doesn't really matter who it is or what. You just gotta be open minded, and you gotta remember that there's a lot out there to learn, and there's a lot of people to learn from. So you can't show up at a table always knowing you're the best and being closed-minded to new ideas. It's just a very bad way to be. So, okay. We'll play a few more orbits. I'm going to try to keep this a little bit under an hour, but we got a few minutes left. Okay. I love it when guys like this limp their button, and I can see the flop with any two from the small blind. It's just very, very nice. Let's throw out like a little value bet here. I'm sure we have the best hand. Maybe we can get some action from a 9 or a queen. Actually, 9 would have bet already. I would think a queen would have too, but people will call you with garbage in small pots like this, so let's see. That's fine too. This guy's so tight. We actually have decent numbers on this guy. He's a 14-4. That's rockish. Man, I hate to just throw away my position, but I'm just gonna dump this hand. If it was suited, I would have definitely played it. And you can play that too, but you know, I try not to get too carried away. I try to keep in line a little bit. And 5-7 off with two guys. You can play it sometimes. You know, it's how you feel basically. Okay. Now this is a spot. Our buddy left. That's too bad. This is a hand that I see a lot of great players 3-betting, and I don't think I 3-bet this enough from the blinds. However, having said that, this guy is under the gun. It is a min raise though. I'm just gonna call because the reason I'm just gonna call is because I don't know the guy that well. He hasn't been here long. If he was in the cutoff or the button, I would be much more likely to 3-bet him. If he or if I knew him better, I would be more likely to 3-bet him. But this is a hand I'm trying to 3-bet more from the blinds. In the past I haven't done it enough, and I'm sure it's a weakness. So that's something I'm working on. Is this no? Okay, okay. Let's talk about this. This guy just min bet this flop. That does not exactly convince me he has an ace. So, I don't see. Again, it's another one of the spots where if he doesn't have an ace, he's not going to call if I check raise, or if I donk bet. If he does have an ace, he is going to call. So there's no point in me putting in any action out of position if he doesn't have one of those cards. If he doesn't, I'm sorry, there's no point in me putting in action if I'm only going to get action from a better hand. So, especially when there seems to be a strong chance he's just going to keep bluffing. So we have to pay the hand off now. And okay, he had absolutely nothing. But again, see, if I donked out or if I had check raised, he would have instantly folded. So this is another example of why playing passively out of position can be the best line. It's not always going to be the best line, but in spots like this, it very often will be. So it's something to keep in mind. And obviously, you force yourself to make what can be some tough call downs. Like you're gonna have to call the river a fair amount of the time. You can't just call 2 streets and give up on the river because you know your hand is very disguised. It's usually underrepresented. So okay, I'm gonna play till the blinds get me on these tables, and then I'll fire up Poker Tracker and we'll see how hot I ran, which was very hot. So whoops. Okay, we'll finish. We'll go one more round on this table and then call it. We'll be checking this, obviously. Okay, we're gonna check and fold. Nothing to do. Okay, this guy, I'm just gonna fold. Ace nine offsuit is a totally different hand than ace nine suited. It just doesn't play well against an under the gun raiser. I don't like getting involved with it. I don't know what to do with this guy. Let's just raise him. I like making life uncomfortable for short stacks. They really bug me. You can do several things here. It doesn't really matter long run. The money's so shallow. We have the betting lead. Okay, we need to just continuation bet and call a shove, obviously. Okay, let's sit out here. This guy's still limping. We're going to keep isolating. Such a strong play, limping and then folding. It's just... I don't want to see any Stocks Poker members doing that. Okay, we'll see our last hand, and then I'm going to pause the video and get Poker Tracker up here. I am going to keep trying to mine these games before I make a video. I really like going into the video with some reads. Obviously, I haven't played against most of these 2-4 guys on full tilt, so I really like having some numbers and something solid to make some decisions on. I just hate having to be like, well, this guy's an unknown, so I don't really know what he's doing this with. I mean, it's just not a very constructive. It's just not a very constructive lesson, and I want to make sure that we can hope. I want people to learn from every video of mine they see. So I think that's the best way to do it. So I'm going to keep doing that. Okay, that was the last hand. So I'm going to fire up Poker Tracker. I'll be right back. Okay, as you can see, we played 165 hands of No Limit 2-4, and we won at 85 big blinds per 100. Clearly, that's a phenomenal win for 165 hands. So, I mean, I ran like God. What else can you say about that? That's awesome. So, just looking at my numbers, 31 VP, 23 PFR. That's my normal game. I said in the past is like a 21-17 type thing, 22-ish. But when you run well and you get good cards, you're obviously going to be playing bigger numbers. So, clearly that's a function of how I ran. But, I don't think there are any hands I want to replay. Sometimes I will, but I think that's about it. But I want to thank everyone for watching, and I hope it was beneficial. And shoot me some suggestions in the boards. I'll read them and respond to everything. So just let me know what you thought. But I'm looking forward to making more videos, and hope everyone has a great New Year. Talk to you soon. Bye.